Hey everyone! Today we're talking to Christy Kiltz, the owner of Design by Kiltz. We're talking about websites, everyone. Websites are so important. Let's jump into it. Christy, I would love for you to share with everyone a little bit about yourself as a business owner, your journey building Design by Kiltz. Tell us what that is and what that entails.
You know, I wish I would have been one of those smart teenagers 20 plus years ago, but I kind of fell into business and I was looking for a new job. I actually ended up getting a job for an administrative assistant for a web-based company in 2000. And of course, they wanted me to know web stuff because it was internet-based. And that gave me my wings, really, to start my own business. The lady I worked for was an entrepreneur. She had started and run many businesses and encouraged me to start mine. And within 6 months of starting there, I was taking care of their website. And at that point in time, if you remember, 1999, 2000, WordPress didn't exist. All the other, systems that we have today didn't exist at all. It was static HTML. And that site was 1,000 pages or close to it. It was huge.
Yeah.
But that gave me my journey. And early on, it was people having a hard time. There was a black box back then. You had to be, technically able to do these things. Mm-hmm. And people were locked into trusting. And I heard so many horror stories. I send a change, it takes forever, it's wrong, and I get a big bill. So yes, I built websites, but more than that, I learned early on, and I think it just comes natural with a part of me, of just taking care of people. Making sure that, you send changes, you get friendly service, quick response, white glove, whatever you want to call it. And that has been really a core. Technology has changed, I'm going to say light years since then. But one thing that has not changed is just that white glove, let's take care of you online.
Let's move to 2026. Tell us, what is Design by Kiltz today? Obviously, like you said, technology has evolved and changed so much, but there are, again, it's like, well, we still have websites, after all these years later. So what is Design by Kiltz in 2026?
We've shifted from just, hey, we're another web design company. And in a sense, we were like that all the way along, but the pendulum swings, I don't know if it ever goes back to start or the other direction, but it used to be that, if you had a website, you were good back in the dark ages. Then it went to if you had a nice looking website, you were good. And that no longer works. And what people are engaging with are websites that speak to their needs. And that is where our focus has really changed over the years, of building websites that, use elements like brand story. How do we engage people when they first come to the site and get the initial message across in 3 to 5 seconds?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, here at Nick Alexander Films, we talk a lot about storytelling and the how essential it is to not just have a bunch of pretty images, but to narrate, to explain, to show like why they should care. So talk to me a little bit about what makes Design by Kiltz so unique. What's your value proposition that you have for those who, again, say, hey, I need a nice website, but you guys go above and beyond than just putting together an aesthetically nice looking web page?
So there's 2 elements that I'm going to touch on. Number one is there are too many agencies out there that salesman brings you in, builds the trust, you're handed off to a project manager, account manager, and then you enter an echo chamber. And you're told what you need. Nobody really listens. We throw that model out completely because I'm the one that gets to talk to people initially, and I'm with them for the entire project. And instead of us telling them, I'm a firm believer that everybody knows what they need and what they want in their website. It's in their head. They don't know it. It's our job to find it. And so it's that exploration and listening and being able to translate what they say into what works. So that's kind of the part one. The part two of what really makes us different is it's so easy, whether you work with an agency or you go to Wix or Squarespace or any of those, or even AI, you can put together a nice looking website. But if you don't understand the principles of brand story, which is your customer is the hero of the story. They've got a problem. There's 3 layers: the external, what it is, the emotions around it, why it's important. You come along beside them as the guide saying, I understand you, the customer, and your needs on all 3 levels. Here's how I can solve your problem. Here's the plan. Answer their questions, call to action, and here's what success looks like when you're done. And by the way, if you don't take action, here are the stakes, of what happens. And we help develop those principles as foundations at the beginning of the project. And then we embed that. It goes into content. And I'm going to say content these days is more important than design.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought up brand story because for those of you who don't know, Design by Kiltz actually designed our website here at Nick Alexander Films. And I remember our former website, we were the hero. Mm-hmm. That was actually kind of an aha moment that I had as the owner of the business, but like working with our team and realizing like we need to rethink how we are positioning our client and how we're positioning Nick Alexander Films as the guide to help them reach their goal and accomplish. So I can say firsthand that Christy and her team do an amazing job, not just again putting together a nice website, but the guiding us through the process and making sure that every step of the way we're really on board, and that's what I appreciated about working with you, Christy. Is at each kind of milestone there was a review process. There were meetings. We could voice our feedback, and you listened to, hey, I want it like this, I want it like that, and of course we're extremely picky because we're visual storytellers, and like, hey, well we got to have this video right here, and so overall I just highly recommend. If you need a website build, but more than that, you want to storytell through your website with that brand story kind of ideology, then definitely want to talk to Christy. So, Christy, when it comes to your job, you've been doing this for a while.
26 years.
26 years. Congrats.
Thank you.
So, with that said, here at Nick Alexander Films, when people talk to us, they can see the passion. They can see that we care about storytelling. We care about visually helping people and brands and organizations elevate through video, through storytelling. So what's your passion for websites and for what you do? Because a lot of people might say like, when they hear a website or that, they need some work done, there's a sigh and they're shrugging and sometimes they just don't do it because again, technically it's hard, aesthetically it's hard, but then again, like you said, the responsiveness and the storytelling pieces, all of that is just a huge challenge for most people.
I think as an inner part of me, there's a strong teacher. I love teaching. And what I enjoy the most in taking people through the journey are seeing when the light bulbs come on. And just thinking of the process we went through with, you and your team was having you guys recognize the fact of, oh, we are just talking all about ourselves. Let's flip that. To me, I'm empowering you so that you can make better decisions. And that's a big part of what I do, initially talking to people, and then through the process, it doesn't have to be a black box anymore. And yes, technology changes on the online world. SEO is an entirely different ballgame that's, a million miles an hour right now. But if I can open that black box so that you can understand, that allows you to be able to make better decisions and see why you might need to invest or you might need to change. And an easy way that we do that with people is when we do our engagement reviews. I look at a website, I look for those elements, and we go through it together with the business owner. And they're usually, by the end of it, they're like, I can see that. Because we're explaining and just walking through. It's not technical. Most site reviews, site audits you get, it's just this technical, bleh, here you go. But for us, it's more, how's your website telling that story? And that's what makes me passionate, is bringing that to life where people really didn't have that even in their brains before.
So, Christy, kind of wrapping up, talking about Design by Kiltz as one of our referral partners, what would you say to a business? Perhaps they work with us, perhaps, again, they need help. Whether they want to admit it or not, what would you say to that business out there that needs some website assistance?
If you have questions and you're not quite sure, let's start with an engagement review, because that's easy, completely free, and there's no strings attached. So I don't come in at the end with a big pitch. And that's a really good way to at least open your eyes to what's there. Otherwise, if it's, I know I need help, let's connect, then let's connect. Of course, our website, designbykiltz.com, you can find out more about us there, or you can just even give us a call. You'll get a human being, not an AI.
In the same measure that we're passionate about visual storytelling, I can see that you're passionate about building websites that matter and websites that have story, have a story as well.
And a website should make you money. If your website isn't make you money, you've got a problem. You've got a really expensive business card out there, kind of like business cards were during COVID, useless.
Yeah. Well, hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. And again, make sure to check out Design by Kiltz websites. You know who to contact.